Inspectors General Office, combating fraud in federal agencies, including the Department of Defense, Commerce, Housing and Urban Development, Environmental Protection, and Veterans Affairs. John has been active in civic and community matters, and he has been involved in promoting youth athletics for more than 30 years. John also shared with me that he is passionate about human trafficking and working with the youth, and he is here with his wife Nancy tonight, and they also have a daughter, Laura Sullivan, and a son, John. Our third panelist is Ayele Amavigan. She is from Togo, Africa, and her areas of expertise include working with at-risk youths and their families. She is a social justice advocate who believes that education is a key to self-sufficiency. She also believes that through an international educational organization such as Hidden Talent Foundation, every social justice advocate and everybody who believes in the power of education can come together to discover the educational talent in every child by donating to the foundation to promote the cause of good education and assist children and young adults to a road to self-sufficiency. Our final panelist for this evening is Maria Ko, who is a filmmaker with Congo Justice. She has experience working in Hollywood. She also has experience as a writer and director. Please welcome Maria Ko. Actually, okay, well, this is our panelists so far. Yeah, this is it. Also, I wanted to make a couple of announcements. We did have Deborah Nelson and Sonia Horsford as well on the board, but Deborah Nelson actually had a family emergency back in Alabama, so she had to go to attend her family this evening. And Sonia Horsford was here, but she also had a previous engagement following this this event, and since we are running over time, she had to leave early. So here we are with our panel this evening. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
Okay, so basically right now this is just going to be a session where I just want to get your opinion about how to build stronger communities based on what was shared earlier with our presenters. So if any of you can go first, if you'd like to share.
Okay, I'll start. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, it's so wonderful to be here tonight with all of you. We've had some amazing stories tonight, and this really inspires me to continue what I'm doing with our friends. To answer your question, I think that education is the key. Educating ourselves and educating others in issues that are taking place around the world and right here in Las Vegas. Once we understand something, and it's the problems in our society and how deeply it affects us, we cannot stand still. We cannot stay silent. I've only heard about the Congo only like 2 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I'm not used to being in front of so many people. It was only 2 years ago. And before that, I had heard nothing about the Congo and what was going on to the women, to the children, to the families there. And I said to my husband, Ken, what is going on in Africa? You know, this story, you know, these stories can't be true. 6 million people dead? How come I did not hear it in the media? You know, how come I did not hear it on the news? I've heard bits of stories, but I've not heard, like, you know, the whole thing. What, 6 million? That does not make any sense, you know. You know, you hear about the towers coming down and everybody knows about it, but 6 million Africans dead? You know, that really hit me. So we started researching and wanting to find out more, you know. So what we found is that how powerful is the word? Word can be used for war, but words can also be used for peace. If the media out there is not telling the populace the truth, then how can we feel secure in our world, in our nation, in our society, in our families? How can we feel safe if our media out there is not reaching out to our governments, to people in charge, people who are somewhat responsible to keep us safe? Our media is not doing that. You know, how is it that I'm just a housewife? Honestly, I've had 5 children, and I'm, you know, that I spend a lot of time, you know, just taking care of things at home. How is it that someone like me gets to find out all this information, you know, in such a short amount of time? So education, to me, is really the key. Once we know what is going on, then we can do something in a community. We can get together as we are together tonight with some most amazing people here, and we can make a change. We can make a difference, you know, to touch people out there. Because if you don't know the truth, what can people do about anything that's going on here in Las Vegas? What can people say? You know, we have no cause to fight for because we are distracted by what I call trash entertainment, you know, that the media is giving to our children, and as you said, educating our children today. But what we need is truth. We need to know the truth so that we know what is it that we need to give to our children, to our families as a whole. So I think communication, education, coming together like this in forums and conferences, sharing our thoughts and ideas, and reaching out in any which way you can. You know, just by talking to your friend, to your neighbor, to your families. You know, if you want, you can write letters to Congress, to governments, to, you know, if you're a good writer, you can write articles for your daily newspaper. If you're a dancer, you know, an artist, use your creative abilities to express the truth, because that is what's really needed today, because the media out there is not doing it. Thank you. Sorry, I went a little bit over.
Should we just
Yes,
hop on the
please.
mic?
Yeah, hop on the mic.
Okay.
Go
You
ahead.
first. Ladies first. Okay. You saw John got the seat for you. I didn't. I'm ashamed of myself. Sorry, Mom. Thanks, John. You don't have to. She saw. She saw.
Okay, well, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why I do what I do. Is that okay?
Okay.
Education, why?
Sure,
okay.
sure.
Okay, pretty much for those who know me, I wasn't from here. I became a proud American in 2003. I could have been, one of the reasons I answer Idea's call to come here tonight is because I could have been one of those girls that you saw on TV, or one of those ladies, because as a former refugee myself, I've been through so much. I think it was a blessing that I was not raped or, you know, trafficked by those people that were after us. So I came here. What we were trying to do as a student, what me and my group we were trying to do was take down the government of my country. We didn't have weapons, we didn't have nothing. With our words, our writings, we wanted to take down the dictatorship government, just like we see in Congo and other countries. We couldn't do it they chase us out of the country. So I have to change gear. I still want to reach out to the children left back. I changed gear. I became advocate for education. So why I think education is very important, because of education, I'm sitting here today in front of you all and with all these wonderful people here. I would never be sitting here if I did not educate myself and try to educate others. So how I needed to do something to reach out, because when people tell me, oh, the way how I raise my child is none of your business, usually I'm a licensed social worker by the way. I am a proud UNLV alumni. I'm a rebel, so just so you know. Yes, yes. And I tell them, you know what, no, how you raise your child is my problem. You know why? Because I am a member of society. Your child is a member of society, and whatever your child does today, or how you raise your child today, will affect society tomorrow. Therefore, it's affecting me and my child. So don't tell me how you raise your child. It's none of my business, because it is my business. So that's what I tell most parents. They don't like it, but I tell them. Yeah, so pretty much we need to educate people, like everybody else say, and I contribute a little bit with my organization here in America and also abroad. Every single year we take people to Africa. My goal is to take people that are not born in Africa back there, so they see that things that we take for granted here in America every single day, like even a little $5 toy that a kid will get, and he or she will say, oh, I don't like that toy, I want the $20 one. In Africa, we don't take that for granted. Some of us never even play with toys. I was one of those kids, and I'm not ashamed to say that, but today I can buy all the toys that I want because of what? And my son, I can get him anything. When my son turned 16, I got him a car. And he is in one of the best universities in the country, in the world today. He's a sophomore at Stanford University today. Because of my education, I was able to give him the kind of education, and tomorrow he's gonna be able to share that education with his generation. So without education, there is nothing, nowhere that we can get. That's why I like to take people so they see that, oh, you come back to America, you're going to change, it's going to change your life forever, and you're going to be grateful for every single little, even if it's a pencil. Some of the students that I work with don't even have money to buy the pencil. So I guess that's why I'm here, and that's why we're here. We need to reach out.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say one more thing, because a lot of people ask me, why Africa? Why there are so many kids here that need help? Why are you helping children in Africa? I have to tell you, there are so many Americans in my country, in Togo and other places in America, in Africa. You know those kids, if we don't educate them and we let the bad guys get to them first, you can have somebody in Africa working in any of those organizations, and they're gonna send those kids to harm them, to kill them, and guess what? That's one of the reasons why we have to reach out to everybody, not just in America, but to every child in the world, because we're all connected somehow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. How do we follow that? That was good. Well, thanks for having me. I definitely feel like the guy that snuck in the back door on this panel. It's nice to be with y'all. I'm Chris Baughman. I'm a detective here in Vegas. There's a quote that I'll start with, and I was trying to scramble to get it on my phone. I'll probably mess it up, but it's from George Orwell. And it goes something along the lines of, in times of great deception, it becomes a revolutionary act to tell the truth. And Annie hit the nail on the head earlier. We are literally at war in our own community with people who are driven by greed, with young men who have been brainwashed into thinking that it is okay to, desecrate the lives of the people that they are pandering or that they're pimping or trafficking. It really is all the same thing. Don't be fooled. And we are losing daughters. We're losing young ladies, women, at an alarming rate. I had the opportunity, I kind of was forced by my mom, who was just sitting down there, to go speak at her high school, Valley High School. And they kind of snuck me in as an author to talk about trafficking in the book and how it all came to be. But I remember sitting there talking to 1,500 students, one group after another, or every period, and what happened was that at the end of talking to each group of those kids, some young ladies would come up. And we're not talking about young ladies that aren't attending school. We're not talking about young women that are out there, cutting up, running around, ditching, doing whatever. We're talking about students. And they all said the same thing to me. They said, I need help. I work at Foot Locker. I work at Der Wiener Schnitzel. I work at Factory 21, wherever they worked at. There's someone coming into my job every day trying to get me to quit and go out and work as a prostitute because of all the money that he says I can make. Now, we talk about education, and it is important. I think as a community, though, we need to be very serious about what we want in our city, what we are willing to stand for, and how far we are willing to go to get what it is that we want. Now, I talked to a group earlier today, and they just couldn't understand. They felt powerless. They felt like, hey, Chris, you got a gun and a badge. You get to chase down those guys. You get to hurt them. You get to bring the girls home to their families. What can I do? And I told them, I said, well, it starts here. It starts by you showing up, by you listening, by you educating yourself on what you can look for. But it doesn't stop there. When you get that jury subpoena and you see me on the stand trying to lock up a guy that beat someone's daughter, that sold her, and you give me a wink while you're in that box, guess what I know? I know I got somebody in that room deliberating with that jury. I know I got an inside man. So for all the people that are here tonight listening, when we're done here, don't walk away feeling like you can't contribute, you can't fight, because you can. And it starts by coming to these functions. It starts by picking up a book. It starts by turning off Jersey Shore or whatever show it is that you're watching and learning. Because I can tell you, the places that I go to hunt these people down are not places that you or I live. They are places where Steve Wynn lives, where Celine Dion lives. They're making ridiculous amounts of money. They're paying for the best lawyers that this city can buy, and these lawyers are taking that money, and they are defending these men. So when I tell you, I need your help, I need you in the courtroom when you get that jury subpoena. You may show up for one of my cases. You may not. But we need you because we can't do it without you. I also want to touch on the community issue and what I'm seeing. and he mentioned Too Short. Now, I'm putting together a presentation to go out to Dallas. I'll be out there to speak to about 1,000 people at a conference, policemen and lawyers and all kind of people. They want to hear what I got to say. All right. So, but as I was putting together my presentation, I came across something that just kind of shook me. There's a magazine called XXL. Anyone ever heard of it? And they had this little segment in this magazine. Now, I know that teenage boys are buying these books. I mean, because I'm not. Young women are buying them because they want to know what the latest and greatest is in shoes and what's going on with hip hop and, you know, who's dating who. Well, in this magazine, Too Short was giving fatherly advice to middle school boys. And this advice consisted of teaching young boys how to turn out women. I say women, girls, 8th grade girls. And the advice that he gives them, the advice that they put into print, was that you get the girl, you push her against the wall, you put your finger in your mouth and you wet your hand and you jam your hand into her underwear and watch what happens. This was the advice that got through an editor. This is the stuff that our kids are reading. You know, we talk about television and the media and all of these things, but, you know, we got people like Snoop Dogg selling Pepsi products, right? We got people like Ice-T playing detectives on television. We've got guys winning Grammys for making songs about beating women. So make no mistake when I tell you that, you know, we're not up against one guy. What we're doing here tonight is not talking about raising awareness because of one issue. What we're up against is a culture that is literally sweeping our nation. Gangsters understand that you can make $1 million a year if you can get your hands on 3 women and force them to make $1,000 a day. So guess what our gangsters are doing? They're not selling crack anymore, people. They're looking for our daughters because they want that money. Now, what's scary, and this should all get everybody up in here up in arms, is that a guy like me comes along and we find somebody and we put together that killer case and we get that conviction for an individual that has basically stripped the life out of another individual, another human, and force them to do things that are unimaginable. He goes away for 1 to 4 years. 1 to 4. You sell drugs, you get caught trafficking drugs, you could go away for 20. So in our own community, our laws are set up that these individuals, once we get them, if they don't get probation, if they go to jail, they go for a 4-year max. If they beat women while they do it, or girls or boys or whoever it is that they're pandering, it bumps all the way up to a 1 to 5. Now, I will tell you, for me, I'm a detective, but I'm a writer, I guess, kind of, now. I'm going to use what voice I have to get this all changed. Now, I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, if we can't figure this out to make our city right, we have got a long road ahead, because don't think that the boys out there peddling women in New York don't know that if they get caught up in Vegas, they could get probation. And any real criminal will have no problem going to jail for 2 years if they know that when they get out, they still got their $1 million in a lockbox, or, you know, those cars sitting in that house if we don't find them. So, in closing, understand that we can win. I believe with all my heart that we can. I know that we can, because I wake up every day, throw on my shoes, and tell myself, who am I going to destroy today? Now, when I do that, I drive past citizens, I go past parks, and I say to myself, there are good people in this city. We just got to wake them up. We got to get them fired up. We got to wake up our congressmen. We got to wake up whoever will listen, and the people that won't, I guess I'll just have to go pay them a visit and take them a book and say, read this. because we got some issues we got to deal with, buddy, and it starts with us making our city. Andy was right. This is ground zero. If we recognize that this is ground zero, then why don't we be the example for every other city in this country?
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Why don't we say, not here. You come here at your own peril. And we will burn you down if we catch you. Once we get that message out, the people that are here will be running to Miami. They'll be running to New York. And guess what will be happening there? But the politicians and the police will be coming here to say, what did you guys do? And then we can impart what we have done on them to get them together. So, and look, we got a great guy sitting right here to help us. Seems like I can't go anywhere without bumping into John, so thank you.
We got a copper writer. Looks like we're gonna have a politician in for a couple more years.
Oh, boy. I don't know.
You know, somebody made a mistake, invited me here. A politician put a microphone in front of me. Shame on them. But I'm gonna take exception with a couple of things that have been said so far. Elizabeth, I have to correct you. I have a pet peeve. She made a statement that I absolutely object to, vehemently object to. She said she was just a housewife. Shame on her.
Maria.
Thank you.
Chris, I'm gonna pick on you too.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Here we go.
He made a statement, our attorneys are defending these men. Well, since I'm probably the oldest one on this panel, maybe a couple of them combined will reach my age. But these pimps are not men. In the classic sense, hopefully your fathers were men. That's classically. Life is not a spectator sport. You have to participate. If you sit in the cheap seats and criticize, but do not get involved, shame on you. Shame on the community. We have an epidemic in this town. And I use the term girls. Can we have the lights turned up a little bit, please? I want to see the audience out here, if that's possible. My lighter won't light up the entire thing. But I use the term girls, and I do not use that as a pejorative term. Chris has seen this day in and day out. When we have girls as young as 11 going into our court system, and I would defy any young woman out in this audience to stand up and say how an 11, 12, or 13-year-old are young women just yet. They're girls. And you know what I mean. How is a society going to survive? How will these victims, and under federal law, anyone under 18 that is trafficked is a victim. They're not prostitutes, they're victims. They have been trafficked. How will the victims of trafficking judge us today, 10 or 12 or 15 years from now? If they survive. The average age going into trafficking is between 12 and 14. Life expectancy is just above 22. Ladies and gentlemen, I would suggest that you need to look at your political leaders. I'm one of them. Chris said it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. That is correct. I'm a Republican. Tad conservative coming at that. This past session, I put 5 bills forward addressing this issue. 1 bill passed, and I think Annie likes that bill best of all, because it goes after the victims. I shouldn't say go after, that's the wrong term, but it assists the victims. Or, at this point, a woman who has been a victim of trafficking has to be above 17. Most prostitutes would have had some type of an arrest record for pandering, maybe even petty theft, something even more seriously. But now, AB 6, Assembly Bill 6, was passed into law, signed by the governor just after the session, legislative session. it will allow victims to petition the court and have a hearing, not a trial, a hearing. And if they can convince the court that their arrests and convictions were related to being trafficked, their entire record can be vacated. That's not sealed, because what is sealed can be opened. Vacated, it's gone, never happened. Women can now go and apply for education benefits, apply for jobs, and in the forms, have you been arrested? No, and not be lying. I had a couple other bills. AB 112, Assembly Bill 112, was an interim bill going after the traffickers, the pimps. It passed on an interim committee unanimously. Passed, Democrats and Republicans, passed unanimously. It went to the official committee in the Assembly, the Assembly Judiciary Committee. It passed the committee. The chairman refused to bring it to the floor for a vote. I had another bill, AB 106. There was a pair to AB 112. One after the buyers. Significantly increased jail times for the buyers, because I believe one way to hit the demand is to go after the buyers. He wouldn't even hear the bill because it increased jail time. You, each and every one of you, need to challenge your political leaders in this community. White, black, green, yellow, purple, chartreuse, I don't care. This is not a rich issue or a poor issue. It's not a Summerlin issue. It's not a Sin City issue. It's not a Henderson issue. It's an entire community issue. You need to challenge the candidates, the wannabes, and get up front and very personal with them. Look them in the eye. And you hear about pledges, tax pledges, pledge this, pledge that. I want each and every one of you, whether you live in this community or you may go someplace, if you're students, go someplace else back home, Schenectady or Duluth, ask your politicians, will they unequivocally guarantee you, the voter, that they will fight human trafficking? No ifs, no ands, no buts, no clauses, no semicolons, no commas. Will you fight human trafficking? Yes or no? If they do not live up to that word, please remember it. Because there should be a reckoning the next time they run for office. We have a lot of challenges in this community. Education needs more money. Lots of things need attention. But if we do not take care of the soul of this community, shame on us. Because I believe when we stand before our Creator, He's going to ask us what we did. We're finite beings. We're going to fail. We're going to stumble. But his second question would be, did you keep on trying? And how are you going to answer that? I'll go back to the statement a few moments ago. How are we going to be judged not only by our Creator, but by the victims of human trafficking 10 to 15 years from now? Will they damn us for not waking up and looking at this? Not helping Chris, who sees this day in and day out, and his pit crew, Lieutenant Karen Hughes. I cannot do it alone. Chris cannot do it alone. It takes the village. Okay, what's the next question?
Right?
Okay, thank you.